Alright, so I'm back again. I'm going to give a quick update, or I'm going to try to give a quick update. It's hard to go through all the stuff that I did while still going into detail about it without making it take too long. So I'm going to try to just do it really quickly because I think it's better that way than having like an hour-long video where I'm just rambling. But yeah, I may go into more detail in future videos, but I think this time I'll try to just do it quickly. But yeah, this version of the game, it has most of the features of the original World's Hardest game. There's just a long list of stuff left to do for the additional features, like from other like World's Hardest game 3 and 4, and from and like new stuff. But anyway, that was kind of weird what just happened. Actually, I'm not sure why. Oh, okay. Actually, I do know why. Anyway, I'll just go through the list of stuff. So anyway, some of these things are short. I shouldn't even really have them on the list, and some of them are like site related, whereas most of them are game related. But I'll just go through it quickly. So the first thing is when you're moving around, you have a certain frames per second that the player moves at. And what I did was, if the player's moving slower, it slows down the animation speed. So this animation of the player is at like 24, but then when I'm carving around a wall, since I move slower when I'm carving, the animation goes at like 12 or something. And then with stick, the animation's normally at like 30, but when you're carving, it kind of like slows down the animation because you're moving slower. So yeah, the animation speed's going to be dynamic depending on how fast the player's moving. That one's kind of nice. Coin, I added coins. In real mode, it's a loonie. I'm gonna have like a proper image later. This is just a temporary image. But in real mode, it's a loonie. In simple mode, it's a circle, and in stick mode, it's a ring. And in real mode, it has rotation, whereas in the other ones, it doesn't. And I'll show you what it looks. It's just a loonie, but anyway. Right now, I have all the images just all in one page. You can't really see it there. All in one file, I mean. This is what it looks like. But anyway, I'm going to have like a proper image later. I just want something that you can see when it's rotating. And then I'll probably also have different denominations, like I'll have like coins and maybe even bills, and then like diamonds, because I think there's going to be like a store that you can spend money on in the game. Instead of forcing the player to get all the coins to pass the level, the coins are just going to help you buy things that help you beat the level. But anyway, I'll go into more detail about that later, and I'm not really sure about it yet. But anyway, that's the coins. Shadow. I restricted the shadows so that you only see shadows in real mode, and then in stick mode there are no shadows. Whereas before I thought maybe I should have shadows in stick mode, but I think it's better without them. But yeah, I shouldn't really have that on the list. It's too small. But yeah, this one is just when I have like a long title, like in some languages the title of the page is really long, like this. I fixed the CSS so that the title will overflow underneath the settings. So now it doesn't break the page when the title's long. But yeah, that was just like a minor thing. There's probably all kinds of minor stuff that I didn't even put on the list, but I shouldn't really have that on the list. I'm going to try to only talk about more important stuff. Like this one I don't even really need to talk about, but it's like when you get a trophy, the trophy will naturally fade out at a certain speed, and then if I close it by clicking X, it'll be faster, and then if I like click it normally, it'll be like medium speed or something. But I don't really need to explain that. This one is too hard to explain, and I already kind of touched on it previously, but basically there's different types of fonts, and then there's different languages, and then certain languages only support a single font. And then I have another system where you can override the font, and then when you combine, like this is the medieval font with the Hebrew, it still shows up in the proper medieval in certain spots. So I basically fixed it where even if the language only supports a single font, if the text is not language based like this, then it supports the dynamic fonts. But yeah, and then there's other text like this, which is always a single font no matter what. But yeah, anyway, that was a whole annoying thing with languages and fonts that I finally kind of tied the bow on, where I don't have to worry about it anymore. So the short answer is that all the language and font stuff works now. If you see text that doesn't change language like this or font, it's because I haven't programmed, like, there's only a single language defined or whatever. But once I set everything up properly, all the text will work now. It's just a matter of defining the text. But anyway, so yeah, enemies. See, I find I'm kind of rambling on, so I'm not. Next time I'm gonna try to just stick to the most important stuff and try to like make it more kind of precise. But anyway, with enemies, see, these are linear enemies, and then these are stationary enemies. What I have are like different move classes. Like I have like a linear, an actor that moves linear, and then I can apply the linear movement to a coin or an enemy. So unlike the original World's Hardest game where coins were always like stationary, coins in World's Hottest game can move the same way enemies can move. They can go like anywhere. Yeah, I'm gonna explain. When you get killed, you spew out coins too, but I'm gonna try to do like chronological. But yeah, the coins can move linear, enemies can move linear. There's going to be all kinds of different movement types, but stationary and linear are the ones I have so far. I got the dev panels working. The dev panels you need during development in order to like understand what's going on. So this is like an early version of the dev panels. I'm gonna change it so that instead of being on the game, it's for like the whole site. But yeah, right now I have rudimentary dev panels for the actual game. So like for example, the frames per second. The main is the frames per second that's actually taking effect. Like that's the main one. Then actual is what it could do. Like the actual time it could in theory do it in. The update is the game logic, and then the draw is the actual drawing of the canvas. But it helps a lot to have those stats available at all times. So like I can see like, you know, switching modes. For example, stick mode is around 450 FPS, and then real mode is like 300 FPS. And then simple, like it kind of helps to know like what changes, or like if I enable bounds. See how if I don't have the bounds, the draw is at like 800, and then the moment I put the bounds there, the draw is at like 500-ish. So you can kind of see like what affects the, you know, it's just helpful to have this information, or like just knowing which tile the player's on, or what the zoom of the camera is, or, you know, what's visible on the camera, or like how many enemies, how many checkpoints, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's just helpful to have this these dev stats. But anyway, with checkpoints, you can just touch another checkpoint, and then when you die, you end up at that checkpoint. And if I collect a coin, like, so right now I have 8 coins. If I die before getting to the checkpoint, I just drop them. So like here, I'll collect a bunch of coins, and then I'll die, and I kind of just drop them. Whereas if I like collect the coins and then get to the checkpoint, I actually save them. And when you save coins, you can see like here I display the coins you have saved, and then the unsaved coins. And then when you save them, it kind of like goes into it. Whereas if I get coins and then I don't save them and I die, it just kind of fades out. So yeah, that was the coin stuff was a whole big thing. The spewing, which I'm going to talk about in a second, was the main thing, but just the coin stuff on the sidebar is also a bunch of work too. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then also, let me just see here. If I die, the checkpoint blips like a green color. Like it does like a dark green animation. Whereas if you collect coins, or if you just touch a checkpoint, like a new checkpoint, it goes yellow. But then when you die, it goes green. So I thought it's kind of nice when you have a different color. In the original games, the checkpoint was always gonna flash like the same color. Yeah, explain that. This one, what I have are, let's see. So I have, the actor has a thing called a bound outline. Some people call it a bound box, but some of the bounds are circular, so I just call it a bound outline. So all actors have their main boundary and then their actor boundary. So if I draw them both, you see like this. If you look at the player, the square is the main boundary, and then the inner circle is the actor boundary. So the main boundary is for walls, and then the actor boundary is a circle where I have to, it's for a player on enemy. See here, our main boundaries are touching, but our actor boundaries aren't. Once your actor boundaries touch is what actually kills you. So the circles have to actually intersect. Because if your main boundary was what killed you, and it's too, it just helps a lot to have two different boundaries. But yeah, with the coins, I just do a main boundary collision. So the coins is a square on square collision, whereas the player and the enemy is a circle on circle. It's because the coins, it helps to have like a little bit of extra leeway when collecting the coins, whereas with the enemies, it helps to have the opposite. Yeah, and then when you're in simple mode, what I do is I draw the enemy boundary a little bit bigger than the actual hit area, and then that allows you to kind of like walk into them a bit before you hit it. But yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but you need a certain amount of leeway on the boundaries, and when you have different modes like this, it's hard to have them all. It's hard to draw the circle at the actual boundary size because like the player, look at the legs of the player is not that wide, whereas the circle is like wider kind of. So, but anyway, yeah, the short answer is I messed around with the boundaries, so now I can do the different types of collisions. I can do them. I can handle them specially each way that I want to. Yeah, the boundaries are pretty much done, I guess. All you have is circle on circle and then square on square, and then once you have both of those, that's what you need for everything. And yeah, depth sorting. So now it's probably easier to see a stick. Like if I'm behind, I'm on the layer behind, and then if I'm in front, I'm on the layer in front. So that's depth sorting. It does it in all modes too, not just in real mode. So like, or in real and stick mode. So in the original World's Hardest Game, the square was always on the top layer, but now there's actually depth to it. But yeah, and then when you collect coins, the coins jump to the top layer. It's kind of hard to show, but try to die like right here, and then see how there's coins behind the player or behind the enemy. When I collect them, they jump to the top layer. So coins which are being collected are always on the top layer. And then the other layer is just whichever's Y position is lower. And then the layering on the simple mode is slightly different because here is where the enemy like bottom is, whereas then in other modes it's like a little bit lower. It's hard to explain, but when I decide the depth in simple mode, it's like slightly different because of the way I draw the boundary, or because of the way I draw the enemy, that it's smaller than the actual boundary. But yeah, anyway, coin world anim, yeah. So now you can collect coins. When you collect a coin, if you're in simple mode, it goes to the center of the player. And then when you're in like stick or real mode, in real mode, it's supposed to go toward your pocket. So you see how like the coins kind of like shoot toward my pocket. And then in simple mode, it's just to the center. But yeah, they can kind of curve a bit if you turn while you're like collecting it. The coin kind of like curves into your pocket, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it fades out when it's collected, and then when it resets, it fades in. Explained all that stuff. Yeah, so then the coin spew. I should have just started with the coin spew because it's the main thing. But I'll So yeah, right now I have like 57 coins. When you die, the location you die, they start there, and then they have a random angle, and then a random starting speed, and then it decelerates to 0 over a random duration. So let me just see here. So right now, yeah, the maximum speed is 9.2 pixels every 60th of a second, and the maximum duration is 10 seconds. And it's like randomized, but what I could do is not randomize it and just put them always at the max. So now it'll always be, the animation will last as long as possible and start as quickly as possible. So this is what it looks like when everything moves as quickly as possible. So like they shoot like all over the place. But yeah, then I'll show you what it would look like if I just add like a crazy amount of coins. So this group of coins right here represents this group of stationary coins. I'll just stack them five or six deep. So now you see these are stacked 5 or 6 deep. So now I just collected like almost 400 coins, and now I'm gonna spew them at max speed. But yeah, I tested it and I made sure that they can never like glitch and go through the wall or anything. But yeah, when you spew that many at max speed, they shoot all over the map. See, I'll do it and then I'll try to follow them down. You see some of them are like going all the way outside them, all the way up. But anyway, I'll also show you what a huge spew would look like without. This is with the normal stats, but with more coins. So this is what it would look like if you spew 387 coins the normal way. You see, most of them stay pretty much where you drop them where you die, and then it's less likely that they kind of shoot further. And as you get further away, there's fewer coins. Yeah, and then the other thing was just the starting frames. So like these players are all, these enemies are all walking, but their start animation frame is a bit different. And same with stick, because you don't want them to be marching in unison because it looks weird. But yeah, anyway, that's most of the new features. I'll just show you a bit here. One thing you'll notice though is that the hitboxes are so small I can go between them. But I'm gonna make it work, and I'll just have more enemies. So if this were a real level, I would probably have like 2 enemies walking instead of 1. But yeah, one thing that I'm happy with, this is like a major thing. I shouldn't have refreshed, but yeah, one of the major things that I'm happy with is it's kind of unproven that this game even works in real mode. Because if you think about the original World's Hardest Game, it's purely top-down like this. So you can clearly see where the enemies are and where the player is, and you can dodge them clearly, like this. And then one thing I wasn't sure about is the game even playable like this? Because if you look at the boundaries, the boundary is down near the feet, just above the shadow. So it's kind of harder to judge the boundaries in a format like this. So I wasn't sure if this was really going to be fun, like, or if it would be too confusing. But what I've decided is that it works. I think it is fun because it's kind of more satisfying when there's depth to it. See, like when you're in the original graphics mode, it's kind of boring because it's not as satisfying when you dodge an enemy. Like dodging an enemy feels kind of plain because the layers don't overlap and stuff. Whereas when I dodge an enemy with the depth, it feels more satisfying to dodge enemies when there's depth like this. See, like when I kind of like move back and forth and then dodge them over and over again like this. In simple mode, there's nothing satisfying about it. But when you're in real mode, it feels really satisfying that you got really close to him, but you didn't actually kill you. So yeah, I think this as a proof of concept will work. Like it proves that this works as a game. That it's not just the top-down simple mode that works. I think, if anything, this mode might even be even better than that because it's more satisfying. So yeah, I feel like this will definitely work as a game, especially when I get the real actors and the real costumes and makeup and stuff in. Before I was worried that it wouldn't really work because the depth would be too confusing. But to me, once you get used to it, it's not confusing at all, especially with the leeway. You have so much leeway that, like, as long as your circles aren't intersecting, you're not dying. So I can get, like, really, really close to an enemy without dying. But, yeah, anyway, I'm pretty excited. I think it'll definitely work as a game. And when I get the other features in and the depth of the walls and stuff in, it's going to look pretty cool, I think. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming. This is where it gets kind of interesting because now I'm not just doing like low-level kind of like boilerplate stuff, like foundation stuff. I'm kind of doing more actual game development now. But yeah, anyway, that's all the new stuff. I guess I don't want to go too much into the code, but I could just show my folder structure for the game. Oh, it's too hard to even. I'll just go like this. Actually, if you want to see the whole site, this is my asset folder. It's not very large, it's just a bunch of images. This is my CSS folder. It's pretty darn large. There's a lot of CSS. I'll skip the other stuff. I'll just show the JavaScript. Wait. Show the JavaScript. The whole JavaScript folder looks like this. Starting here. My IDE's slowing down. There's quite a lot of JavaScript files. But just for the game, it's hard to expand them all. But the main thing is the world folder. Within the world folder, I have actor, camera, level, and tile. Level is like the starting conditions So for example, level 1, it has certain tiles, certain enemies, certain coins, and certain checkpoints, and certain camera. So if I go to like the coins, first I define all the stationary coins, and then I define all the linear coins. But yeah, having the level have its own hierarchy like this is kind of nice, instead of trying to combine it into like the main world class. Whereas the world is what's currently present in the game world. The level is what it like starts with, kind of. But yeah, with actors, you have like the main actor, the boundary outline, the ability to have an actor be collectible. So this will be like for coins and keys. And then this is the ability for an actor to move linear, and then this is the ability for an actor to spew out after. So this is for collected actors. But then I have like a normal coin, a linear coin, and a coin that's spewing out. And then enemies, yeah. But anyway, going like roughly over the code is kind of pointless because you can't explain how it works. But I put a lot of work into the code. I'll just say it for that for now. I might do like a deep dive into how it works later on, maybe when the game's done or something like that. But yeah, I guess that's all I'll show then. There's other stuff I could talk about, like I could show my work hours and talk about what I'm going to do next and stuff. But actually, screw it, I will just do that. These are my work hours. These are kind of embarrassing, but I've been having trouble with like work ethic. So I keep track of how many hours I work. What I do is actually, I use this software, this recording software. I record myself while I'm working, and then at the end of the day, I just check the duration of the file, of the video. So I know the amount of hour, and I just like zoom it whenever I stop. So if I go to the bathroom, I like pause. I just realized I was actually pausing and resuming it just now, so you can't hear what I was saying while I was pausing it. But while I'm working, I work with the video on, so I know how long I'm working for, and then I click pause when I stop working, and then I resume it when I start again. So I know the exact amount of hours I've been working, and I know it's not very many, so like half an hour, 2 hours, 40 minutes, 4 hours, or so forth. So all in all, this is about 62 days. I only average 2 hours and 11 minutes a day, which is pretty bad because I don't have a job right now. But at least I did get 148 and a half hours in total. But yeah, I'm going to try to get it up to like average 8 a day, and that would then be much more respectable. But at average 2 a day, in 62 days, I still get stuff done. It's just I would have gotten quadruple amount done had I worked more. So that's the main problem right now. I just have been having problems like causing me to make it harder to work. But right now, there have been some months where I do better. I average more like 4. So I just have to get my work hours up. And yeah, apart from that, everything's going well because I was waiting on some money from the German government that some taxes that I paid that I was due a refund for, and I did get them. So right now, I have like a year worth of funding for the game, so I can move out and live for a whole year, and I wouldn't run out of money. And then I just have to make the game launch and have the game be profitable before I run out of money. But yeah, right now I'm just I have some stuff I have to deal with in Toronto, and then I'm going to move where it's cheaper, and then I'm going to spend the next year living there and working on the game, which is pretty cool because it's nice just being able to do it full time and live on my own again. Last time I did it full time, game development full time while living on my own, it was like after high school when I was making the original like World's Hardest Game 3 and stuff. But it'll be nice to do it again. Yeah, it's just I have like I have to make sure I finish the game before my money runs out. That's the main thing. Right now I'm spending too much and not working enough. So when you're spending too much and not working enough, that's danger zone. Once I get more in the comfort zone, I'll feel a little bit better. But yeah, right now the game's well underway, and I have funding, and everything's all lined up, so I'm able to make the game. And this is the main thing right here. I do believe the game works with the depth, so you don't have to be bird's eye like this in order for the game to work. You can also have depth like this, and then the game still works. So that's the cool thing. So you're gonna have a whole World's Hardest Game style game, but with real people instead of simple shapes. It's gonna be really cool. Anyway, I'm gonna try to just keep making progress. Even if I continue at the rate I am, I'm still making progress. It's just not as much as I would like, but I'm gonna try to at least double, if not higher than that, the amount of work I'm doing. The work also gets funner the more I do. You get into kind of more fun stuff like the coins and stuff. But anyway, okay, so that's it for now. I'll update you again in a month maybe or something like that.